Hey, welcome friends and family. So excited to be here with you today on June 3rd, 2024. We're almost halfway through the year. We're in the last stretch of the first half of the year. And we just want to bring a little motivation this Monday to you. And the way we've been doing this is as a team, we've been reading through the John Maxwell's book, The 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork. 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork, written by John Maxwell. Phenomenal book. Something I'd recommend everybody that gets a chance to read. Read this because, at the end of the day, probably one of the most important things we can do is be valuable team members to help support each other. Today in chapter 9, we're talking about the law of accountability. Teammates must be able to count on each other when it counts. And as we discussed today, we really just kind of roughly went through all the things that go on in a real estate transaction, from potentially being the first person that the seller of their home meets. And at that point, you're meeting with them, you're presenting, you're showing them the value of what you do and what you have to offer, to bringing that listing in. And again, so many agents do this all on their own. They don't have support, and that's tough. One thing that Lindsay and I learned a long time ago, I mean, we had each other, and that was a big, big help. I was able to work with the sales side of this profession, and she was able to come in and help with the administrative side. Now, she could do both uh, better than me, but I could only do one. So I got to be able to get out in front and meet folks. Lindsay did a lot of the administration work. Today we have a full team that supports us. So after we present, we bring the listing in, then we hand it off to Mr. Lucas McCoy. He's been with us now for well over 3 years. He does a phenomenal job of dotting I's, crossing T's. He'll call the client, make sure that everything is written up right in the MLS. He puts it in 3 multiple listing services. Uh, and then we'll send all the paperwork over to the client. We'll send it to them, make sure that they're satisfied with the write-up and everything that goes into that. And then it goes on the market. And then you get agents maybe wanting to schedule showings and feedback to the client. There's just so much that goes into it. And then eventually you get the offer. Then the agent gets back involved, helps negotiate the offer. At that time, it gets turned over within our team. And again, so many people don't have the support of a team. But within our team, we'll hand that over to Miss Renee Cooper, great friend of ours, phenomenal woman, great character. And she, from contract to close, aligns things with the attorneys, with the lenders, with the agent who is working with the folks that are buying, with the selling agent, and goes through that whole process. And there is so much of that. And there's a lot of times there's some turbulence involved in that. But the goal is not to let the client feel that turbulence, to make that process as smooth as possible so that it land the plane on the runway at the time it's supposed to land. And there's so much that goes into that. I won't even begin to go into those details. But again, Miss Renee Cooper does such a great job of that. And then after that, in that process, you have a home inspector that's going to go out. You have an appraiser that's going to go out. You have more negotiations that go on in those situations. And then land a plane. Agent shows up at closing. Uh, Thankful for the opportunity. And then there's follow up after that. Call to make sure they got in the home okay, to make sure they got the electric and the utilities put in their name. If they're moving here, what I love about our work is so often we meet people for the first time when they're coming to this great state of Tennessee, and we want them to have a great experience. We want them to look at us Tennesseans and say, man, these guys chase excellence. They pursue going after it and at a high level, because the service that we received was tremendous. And not only did they land the plane on time smoothly, but they followed up to make sure that we had everything we need. There's so much that goes into it. And when you look at this law of accountability, teammates must be able to count on each other when it counts. Finding folks that want to show up and go to work and really do a great job and be considerate and accountable isn't easy. And I'm very thankful that I work with a great team that does that. Now, Maxwell put together a little formula here. He says, I believe that there is a formula for accountability. It's not complicated, but its impact is powerful. Here it is: character plus competence plus commitment plus consistency plus cohesion equals accountability. We went around the room. Today we discussed like which one of these is the most important. And for the most part, everybody was in kind of harmony with character, right? Because we've seen great team members come in here that can sell a lot of real estate, but maybe they're not very good team players. Maybe they've got that ego out there bigger than the best of the team. Or maybe they're not coachable. Like they just kind of want to do their own thing and do it their way. And that's fine. That is absolutely fine. But realistically, um, character is key, right? Like if you try to scaffold up and build a tall building, but you don't lay the character right, you don't got the foundation right, then what do you think is going to happen? You can go tall, but sooner or later you're going to fall. We don't want to go. Uh, we don't want our talent to take us where our character can't keep us. And Lord knows we all need help in that. Nobody, this person on the other side of the camera here, he's not perfect. We all make mistakes. But at the end of the day, when we have character falls, it doesn't affect one of us, it affects all of us. And I'm sure everybody out there can say amen to that. So again, guys, we just want to kind of share that with you. I want you to maybe just examine yourself this week and look at and say, hey, what's one of those areas that I really want to work in? He brought out competence. If competence is super important. If you don't believe it, would you want to have a doctor that has great character but no competence working on you and performing a surgery, or would you rather have somebody who's extremely competent and has excelled and has a 100% track record for knee replacement or shoulder, whatever it is? Maybe the character ain't great, but the competence is there. So there's people that have great character but maybe low competence. So we want to make sure that we get um, all these in order. Commitment, right? TD Jakes, we talked about TD Jakes a little bit. Phenomenal preacher from Kentucky. The man many times said he ran the tires off his cars. He couldn't even afford to take his suit to get it washed at a dry cleaner. He had to wash it in the washer and dryer, all the lining gone in it. Preached in hot churches with no air conditioner in rural areas in Kentucky. Today he is just a phenomenal pastor, leads a great team, puts out many great books. But he was committed, right? He didn't quit. And commitment is one of the ones that I feel like this team said that we shine in. Today, we have people coming into the office that maybe don't feel the best. They've been going through some trials and tribulations, but they still get up and keep going. Who doesn't love that person on their team? Who doesn't want those people to be around? And then consistency. Our mission statement here within Elevate Real Estate is to deliver phenomenal 5-star service for every client every time. That is our mission. Now, will we do that every time? Probably not. Sometimes we are going to drop the ball. But are we going to lower the standard? Are we going to say we're going to deliver 3.5-star service for every client every time? Are we just going to lower it? No. No, if anything, we're going to up it. Like whoever showed up to a place that said, I'm just happy getting a mediocre or an average home. You want the best. You want the best real estate experience. You want the best experience when you go out for a meal, when you just anything in life. You don't want just an average marriage. You want a phenomenal marriage. And so we want to deliver that consistently, time and time again. And how do we do that? We put processes, we put systems in place, and then we put good men and women to run those systems. Michael Gerber says it like this: systems run the business and people run the systems. It's super important to have consistency. And then cohesion. Cohesion doesn't mean that we all sit around and sing kumbaya and everybody gets along all the time. When you work around A players, sometimes we're going to rub each other. Iron does sharpen iron. That's how we get sharper. Sometimes, quite often, I am challenged by team members and to be better. Just really, even when I think about it, Mr. Lucas McCoy, who asked me to become a little more prepared when I show up on these videos, and he was so polite about it. But that accountability, we're not always going to just get along. Sometimes cohesion means I can speak into your life something you may not want to hear because I love you, because I care. And that's what you get when you get these things together. That brings accountability, character plus competence plus commitment plus consistency plus cohesion brings accountability. Folks, I pray that this is a phenomenal week for you. I pray that you put these things to work. Start in your own home. Start right there at your house. And then bring it to your church, bring it to your workplace, bring it to your kids' school, bring it wherever you're at. And maybe examine yourself this week and say, which one of those areas can I improve in? What is one of those five that maybe I can begin to work on and become a little bit more better? Is it character? Is it is it is it competence? Is it commitment? Is it consistency? Do you do the right thing most of the time and then fail and then have to get back up and restart again? Is it cohesion? Are you willing to bring the truth to people sometimes when it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but you really do want what's best for those people, so you care enough to go ahead and speak up? And you don't have to be rude about that. That can be done in a very polite way with a good heart. This brings accountability to a family, to a team, to a workplace, and I know that that's who you are, and that's what you want to deliver time and time again. Thank you so much. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Great week. Thank you.